Ladies and gentlemen, the reviews are in for Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2. Let's roll a clip from that new trailer. Damn, Pooh Bear used 2 quotes from old Jake here. I'm starting to get a big head and a nutsack full of honey. In today's video, I want to talk about some of the very positive press that Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 is receiving right now and why I personally think it's very deserving of that. Let's get into it.
It's time to decide.
Welcome to the KillJoy Jake YouTube channel. Sit on down, grab your honey, and suck on your toes. Because oh boy, it's time to talk about the new Winnie the Pooh slasher movie. Now, as some of you may or may not know, old Jake here got to see it early. I even got to interview the folks that made this movie. If you haven't seen those videos yet, I highly recommend checking them out. And if you're someone who's personally on the fence, you weren't crazy about the original, let's say, I urge you to watch this whole video because I'm gonna try to convince you to see the sequel. I personally think it is leagues better than the original. It tops Blood and Honey 1 in every facet. Before we get into the nitty-gritty though, let's talk a little bit about the Rotten Tomato reviews that just came out today. Last year, Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey received a 3% from critics and 50% from audience members over on Rotten Tomatoes. The critics' consensus even read, "Oh bother." I personally wasn't losing my mind over the film, but I also wasn't like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. It's definitely not. Some of you haven't seen Day of the Dead 2 Contagium yet, and it shows. But to the shock and surprise of many who haven't seen the film yet, Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 has received a 100% from critics on Rotten Tomatoes and an 81% from the audience. If you guys have seen my spoiler-free review for Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey, you know that I personally really enjoyed the film. I gave it an 8 out of 10. I thought it was really fun. It is a killer B movie that tops the original in nearly every facet. And when I say that, I do want to give you some details as to how it does that with some of the clips that have been recently released. So if you're not convinced by the reviews here, let's talk a little bit about how Pooh and Friends came to be, the origins of this Winnie the Pooh slasher that this film thankfully details. We got a taste of their origins in a brand new clip. Let's roll that sucker right now.
Ashdown views our existence as a plague, an evil which they created. They will never cease their hunt for us. We trusted Christopher.
So as Owl detailed there, somehow the townsfolk of Ashdown played a part in the creation of these slasher animals that live out in the 100-acre woods. On top of that, since Christopher Robin revealed their existence, the townsfolk are hunting them. That's all public knowledge, and I won't get into spoilers until you guys see the movie tonight. But what I will say is this movie offers up a really interesting reason as to why these characters have to kill people in this little town. The last movie was really just the joke of what if Winnie the Pooh went and killed people? This movie takes that a step farther though and tries to give you an explanation as to why these characters are doing what they're doing. Not only are their origins dark and B-movie blissful though, the kills in this film are so much fun to watch, and as that shitty reviewer from the opening said, are comparable to a Terrifier film. I don't throw that term around like it's nothing, by the way. If your kills are something similar to a Terrifier film, you're doing something right in the slasher arena. And dear God, the opening of this is so fucking hard to watch. Let's talk about another clip that was released just a couple days ago. I'll probably have to blur it though. Little warning before we get into this. I mean, listen, you can tell just from the sound design that this is gonna be a nasty kill. And if you think that that's it, oh, you would be woefully mistaken, my friend. It only gets worse, and it is so well done. In all seriousness, though, if you are a fan of the Terrifier flicks, I think you will like this movie. It dives into that same energy of it is so much fun to just watch these characters go about killing people. And all 4 of the characters have very different personalities, which I really appreciate that attention to detail. For instance, one of the new additions to this film is the character of Tigger, who is now a slasher version of the iconic children's character who liked to bounce and pounce. He does still do that in this movie, except it results in bloodshed and skin between his claws. But personally, he was my favorite killer in this entire movie, not even Pooh Bear himself. I also have to give this team a lot of props for looking at that original movie, asking the fans what they didn't like about it, and improving upon it for the sequel. After talking with Scott, Reese, and Matt, the writer of this film, I just know that these guys put so much hard work into making this something worthwhile for horror fans, and that's why I support it. You guys might have just heard the doorbell doorbell in the background. I don't want to do another take because that just took me like 6 takes. And of course, the doorbell went off in the background. God, And one last reason to go check this out is the Bambi the Reckoning clip that's going to play after the credits. Talking a bit about Bambi the Reckoning, the film follows Zana and her son Benji, who find themselves in a car wreck and are soon hunted down by the vicious killing machine, Bambi. Bambi will destroy anyone in its path. Coming from Unhinged director Dan Allen, he says about the film, it's gonna be terrifying. When people see a deer in the wild after this film, they're gonna run for the hills. This film is about the death of childhoods as much as it is going to ruin childhoods. Expect bloodshed, tears, and rabbits. At last, the British countryside will finally get its Godzilla. Oh my god, Dan, that's so much. You're coming on strong with Bambi here, dog. I love how they don't even refer to Bambi as like a deer in this description. They're just like, yeah, clearly Bambi, the vicious killing machine that we all know. Stay away from that fella. Bambi the Reckoning has a planned fall release date, and this summer, Scott Chambers from Jagged Edge Productions will be directing Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare. Bambi the Reckoning is another film that's part of the TCU, which is the Twisted Childhood universe that all of these films are going to be a part of, and are all going to build up to one big cinematic collision film called Poohniverse Monsters Assemble. On top of Bambi the Reckoning, most likely coming next, you also have Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare and Pinocchio Unstrung. This is yet to be announced, but Reese Frake Waterfield, the director of Pooh 1 and 2, has teased that maybe a third film will happen.
One of the good things about Pooh 2 is we've set up a lot. Like, there's a lot of different directions and there's lots of things which will feed into the third film. It's not just completely isolated. There will be like carryover. There's a way the film ends which is going to make Pooh really, really fucking scary in the third film. And I'm getting so excited to just have his like new design kind of from that.
It'll be like another new design of Pooh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We want to keep evolving it and changing it as we go, just to keep it fresh and keep it interesting.
So who knows what's coming next from this team? All I know is that I'm gonna be there opening night for all of them. These movies are also sticking it to the man, or should I say mouse. Which, in my books, taking characters from that company and turning them into slasher villains is pretty alright, pretty hilarious even. And listen, the fact that I got the marketing team to tweet out, "It will make you come honey" regarding this film is still the funniest thing I've ever done in my entire life. The only thing that could make that better is if it was part of the marketing for Christopher Robin from 2018. Imagine that fucking crazy shit. As a troll inherently much more than a critic, it's my proudest moment. Overall, I am very excited to see this movie in the theaters again tonight. If you want to get your tickets, there's a link in the description of this video to Fathom Events where you can go buy them. Are you guys excited for Blood and Honey 2 and any other TCU projects coming up? Leave me something about it in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching this brand new video on Blood and Honey 2. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more horror content in the future. Please consider supporting me on Patreon by clicking that link in the description below. And as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.